Hi, everybody. This is Dr. Christy Taylor, and I'm so excited for this third episode of our podcast where we are celebrating the triumphs of women in the workplace. And we are also celebrating Women's History Month, and our theme this month is Women Reign. And so today I am here with Dr. LaQuita Johnson, and she is the founder of PharmD 𝗵𝗵𝗶𝗶𝗄. She's also a coach who specializes in resiliency and overcoming adversity. She supports pharmacists to academic success and also with their personal branding. So I'm very excited to hand over the poll to you today, LaQuita, so that you can share a little bit more about your story.
Hi there, I am Dr. LaQuita J. Well, formerly Dr. LaQuita Johnson, but most people know me as Dr. LaQuita J. How you doing? You all right?
Doing, girl?
I am a PharmD Naplex Success Strategist. I specialize in helping pharmacists shift their mindset, strategize their study plan, and effectively study for the Naplex exam. And throughout this journey, my mission is to transform the American healthcare system. Then it's by educating the next generation of pharmacists in an environment that fosters innovative and integrated approaches to learning, community, and of course, resilience building. So my journey as a pharmacist has been full of resilience. I would even go back to say, sometimes we can say the career, but even before the career, let's go all the way back old school, right? When I come from a very underserved community in the flatlands of Mississippi, I come from a small town. It's so small, if you blink, you might actually miss it. So
we're both Mississippi girls, so I completely understand that.
Yes, and it's like, so then you get the need and the need for understand, like helping people out, and then you see the health disparities with, and then the environment, of course. So it's all that plays into who I would come to be, and it's like, oh, and then it's like when it comes to pharmacy, y'all, my I would say my journey as a pharmacist is so random. I literally was like working at Wendy's at 16 years old, and I had a cousin. She said, I want to be a pharmacist. And I literally said, what's that? I didn't even know what a pharmacist was. So I went looking on back in the day. What was that? I think career building back when it was popular. Yeah. I went on career building and look and saw what is a pharmacist, how much they making at the time. They had all type of like sign-on bonuses and stuff. I was like, oh, okay, I want to be that. I mean, let me just be frank. I said underserved community because we are professional, but I'm a girl from the hood. Okay, so I was like, let me make this money to get out the hood. So just like any other NFL sports player who wants to get their sports to get out the hood, mine was use my education to get out the hood. So that being said, that was my motivation, and I just started looking it up, and I'm not gonna lie, initially money was the motivation. However, truly diving into my purpose and my calling, I have a heart for people, and I always believe that where there are people, a pharmacist is needed. So that's why I came with the heart to love people. And throughout this journey, it has been a blessing. It all comes about resilient building. Being the first college graduate of my family, first doctor of my family, all the firsts, let's just say that. And there was a lot of trial and error, a lot of failing attempts, especially in undergrad, but still going to pharmacy school, a lot of hardships. And I finally graduated from pharmacy school. I'm not going to say finally because, child, look, I struggled in undergrad. But in grad school, but in pharmacy school, I was good. Look, I was on my hustle, my grind, like we gonna succeed no matter what, because we gotta retire our mama, we gotta do this. Like I had my why. But graduating pharmacy school, I just thought, if it's go like this, you just think it's to go like this, and we finna go up. It's on the up and up, baby. We done made it. We got a doctor behind us. We finna go, honey, make all this money. And then life hit, say, hey. I experienced a death of a close relative that I just was not expecting, and it kind of hit me a little bit. It was a cousin, more like a little brother to me. So the death kind of hit, and instead of trying to go back home, or because I didn't want to go back home, I didn't want any distractions, and I didn't want to just even deal with death in general, because there had been that death and a couple more deaths, family deaths that kind of impact me, but trying to outrun it. Go from Virginia to, I went to school in pharmacy school in Virginia, and go all the way to Wisconsin in the middle of nowhere. and then trying to run, and it catches up with you. So it caught up with me. I was very distracted in a new environment. I went from an HBCU where we black and we proud, we ready, honey, to a predominantly white SA Wisconsin, in central Wisconsin, middle of nowhere, being like, oh, there's a black person. All those factors, I failed the exam. Not one time, but two. So in that, there was a lot of things of when you fail, people sit here and they like to pick on you, like, oh, you're not smart enough, you're not good enough. You become the buck of everybody's jokes. And then you really truly realize that there are people or even resources for people who fail the exam, and you feel like you're all alone and you just feel like a complete failure. And it was in that moment that it became my story, and I had reduced my life to the event I was facing because I just couldn't see the light at the end of the tunnel. Like, I come so far to get here and just feel so stuck. So that's what I'm saying. You feel like it's about to go this way, then life hit and it's up and down, because the only thing was I need to pass the exam to make all this money. I couldn't make any money because I failed the exam. And that time took me about a year, because I also, being so ambitious, decided to get my master's in public health.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that.
Yes, I'm prepared for the exam, and in graduate school, get my master's. So that part I did the first semester, but then I had to take a semester off and say, okay, let me solely focus on the board exam and pass, and then that way I can work. And that's what I ended up doing. But I know I gave y'all a whole lot. Look, let me slow down a little bit, but I gave y'all a whole lot. But in that, I would say this. It was on, like, it was the up and down slope. But after I finally passed, that was good. But then everybody kept saying, oh, how did you do it? How did you help? So, of course, you start helping like your little classmates. But then, and this is the point of, I say all this mistake, I have to tell you my story, because you never know who's listening, who needs to hear my story, and who you can impact. Because I was just talking to my best friend, and she called. She was like, she was talking to a woman. I told her your story, how you had overcome so many things. And I was just so mind blown that you had a woman who graduated from pharmacy school working at the Waffle House. This woman has a whole doctorate of pharmacy, a PharmD. She could not pass her exam and working at the Waffle House. She became my first client, my first official client. And it was one of those things of, I said, there's a need. There's a need for this. And then I came so bold and say, hey, I'm a pharmacist. I help pharmacists who failed the Naplex. And it's like, because most people are saying it. It's like, again, you look like you're less than, you're a failure. You're nothing compared to that. So then I was like, hey, I'm going to help her pass her exam. So that's one of the things of I do, and which is coming, as you stated, like I do mindset, help with mindset shifting, because once you fail something, it's always a heavy tendency on your mindset. It's always hard getting through that mindset shift. The imposter syndrome is always heavy for that. And then it came to, not only like you finally passed the exam, it's hard to brand and market yourself, because again, you're like, oh, you failed the exam, you don't got no work experience. So then it became personal branding, career development, to show you how can you brand yourself, meaning that you have failed the Naplex, and how you can get that job. Because hey, you get 6 figures away, right? So
there's so much to talk about and to unwrap when it comes to your experience, right? Because what I really love is that your approach to helping pharmacists. I mean, I think in general, when it comes to career coaching, there are some strategies there, right, that are just across the board. But then when we specialize and we really support those people that we have the experience with and the things we really have a passion for, there's like going to be some specific things that you do. And I so much agree with you, LaQuita, when you talk about mindset. Like, one of the things that people often ask me is like, why is it as a career coach, you say you do career and mindset transformation? Because it's so much of what you just said, those feelings of, feeling like, okay, I didn't pass. And what's crazy about what you said is I know all of the courses that you have to take to become a pharmacist. The reason why I'm Dr. Taylor is because I didn't sign up for chemistry classes or trigonometry or deep sciences. Like I really went the route, like I'm a health educator, right? And I took the role. Now, the health education degree was not easy in terms of like the amount of research involved, but it definitely was a little bit different in terms of public health than some of the biostatistical classes that you have to take, and definitely as a pharmacist. But I think that when you're coaching and supporting people, you do have to look at things holistically, because if you're monolithic, if you just went the route of just saying, I'm going to coach you to pass the exam, and then you don't provide that cover down coaching, then it doesn't address all of the issues, and people continue to be on that hamster wheel, because as you pointed out, the next step is always trying to figure out which direction to go. And then if you are not clear on that or know how to brand yourself, then you end up on that hamster wheel, right? And so here you are, you're the founder of PharmD to RPH. So let's talk about those experiences. You say you got your first client, and then so what happens from there, LaQuita? How do we get to where we are today?
Okay, so we get your first client. Well, the first thing we always say, we have a framework. And again, it's literally as I stated, we're going to shift your mindset. That's the first important piece, because one thing I've learned, we always think, oh, we can't master information, but it's also your mindset, who you think you are, who you are. Look, how do you see yourself? That we have a holistic approach. So we focus a lot on mindset, and that comes with different affirmations, a lot of tools and techniques that we use for that. Then we shift into, once you got your mindset together, I guess a good place to start. Because it's always a thing throughout the program. It's mindset throughout, and every session that I host is always something on mindset every time, because I have to make sure, hey, I need you to know that you got this. Okay, you got it. It's okay. And then we start with your study. We strategize your plan. Everybody's different. Everybody learning is typically different. So we cater to not only your priorities and things. You may have family, work obligations. How do you learn? How do you study? We strategize your study plan for you. And then we go into collectively study effective for the exam. Because the thing is, we use all those high yield, all those concepts in organ systems, like you learn. Let's go back old school. Back in anatomy and physiology, you learn the systems of the body, of heart system, lung system, bone system. And I specialize in taking all those high yield concepts and put them together in the organ systems. Like, oh, hey, how can this medication relate to your heart, your lungs, your eyes, all those things? This is what I specialize in. I take all those big concepts and break it down to a digestible way to study. So that's what I do.
I like that approach. I like that, because how overwhelming can it be for somebody? I mean, when you took this test and you said, okay, I have to retake it, how overwhelming? And let me ask you this question. Not only how overwhelming is it, but you even if you're taking practice exams and you're studying, right, and you feel prepared, how overwhelming is that experience? And especially when you take the test and you realize, oh my God, I've done everything I can to do the prep, and this looks like a totally different experience than what I've prepped and prepared for. Because I think that really is like the root too of when you talk about the mindset and those feelings of inadequacy, especially when you put in the work to do something and you didn't get the result that you thought that you were going to achieve.
Oh, that's why you probably saw me moving. I'm gonna try not to give out what this is, but the pharmacist is gonna know you are greeted with this book of this book, and you expected to know that this is your study Bible. You see how thick it is. This is a study Bible. And they give you, say, hey, study this and know. So once you get this Bible here, now you've got to figure out, okay, how to study. Like, that's already intimidation within itself. Just that big old book. So my job is to, hey, let's break this down. Let's make it so that you're saying how overwhelming it is. This is the book you get. And then your constant drill all throughout pharmacy school is, if any mistake can cause someone to die.
Yeah.
So you're constantly saying, if I make a mistake, I'm going to kill somebody. I'm going to kill somebody. I'm going to kill somebody. All the time, I'm going to kill somebody. So that's that's like the depths of how overwhelming it can be. But then it's also one of the things of you don't know where to go, because the problem is just like, well, it's not, it's the what makes it so overwhelming is when you were in school, you had a semester for a class. And that one semester, say it was English, let's just say it was chemistry. You're gonna take that chemistry course. Chemistry one, general chem one may be totally different from general chem two. You have different teachers and all that. And then you get organic chemistry, you got one and two, right? All different teachers. But the thing about that's how pharmacy school is, just like any other class. However, you're expected to take a one test that can determine your livelihood of all those four courses. All like in pharmacy school, whether you have a 3-year program or 4-year program, take one test from all that information in those 4 years, and whether you're gonna pass or not. That what makes it so intimidating. And then you're also trying to approach every question because it has been drilled in you that if you make one mistake, someone can die. So where you get this, you embody this perfectionism. I got to be perfect. If I don't be perfect, I'm going to be wrong. And you constantly believe that it's as simple as I said all the time. Look, you're not going to get every question right on the exam. just embrace that.
Yes.
Embrace the flaws. You're not going to get everything right on the exam. So just calm yourself down and it's going to be okay. And I think that's one of the key things of that what makes it so overwhelming, because it's the professionalism, it's the big, all these things you got to get and understand. And it's like you're being tested on all the things you learned. And I specialize in let's study smart and not hard. Let's overcome this.
I really love, like I said earlier, I really love this approach that you have to, because really the same strategy that I use. I really think from a career coaching and supporting people to get to their next level, when you are doing coaching, you really do have to integrate that mindset approach, as I said earlier, right? And so shifting mindset plays a role in what you do, the type of work that I do. And so I'm going to shift this conversation in just a moment to I want to talk about like the another part of the piece of this puzzle when we talk about addressing health disparities and how we support our communities and the importance of Black professional representation in the healthcare professions. You're going to see in the coming months, myself and my colleague, Dr. Karen Taylor, we're going to be doing some advocacy for this type of representation, right? But I just want to focus on you just for a minute in the work that you're doing. When it comes to PharmD to RPH, right? What has been your success rate with your clients, and what type of feedback have you gotten in terms of, the importance of the impact of you working with them?
We have an 88% pass rate with our clients, and one of the key things is always the mindset, the constant encouragement, because that's something you don't see. It's one of those things of we're very hands-on. Most that makes us uniquely, because most programs it's transactional. For us, we're more relational. We're relational. Look, we're relational as well as transactional,
exactly.
But we're more on the relational side of it all. And that's one of the key things that makes us different. And also, too, the constant follow-up, because it's anything. Pharmacy is a small world. You never know who. So why not? Like I always say, too, my client could be the very one that will give me a job. So I'm going to always follow up with them and be nice. I'm always going to say, hey, how you doing? That's one of the key things of just having the access to someone who truly cares, someone who has truly been in your shoes, because it's a very difference of you telling your sibling, your parent that I failed and help me quiz, versus you got somebody who been through it itself, who been to pharmacy school, who has failed, who has overcome, and say, hey, let's go. You got it. I'm even going to say this. I posted this on Instagram not too long ago, and it was it was a client that texted me and just said, thank you for encouraging me in my lowest. Thank you for always being there through my journey, even the times I broke down. Because you'll be surprised. Majority of the time when I get a strategy call And that's how people get into my program. You have to get a strategy call because I don't take everybody. I got to make sure that you are truly ready. Because again, I'm not just trying to get your money. I want you to impact your life and this healthcare system. I got way too much stuff going on just for your little money. I'm sorry, not your little money, but y'all got it. But anywho, I digress. One of the key things is I gotta make sure that you are ready. And every time you're a strategy call, people book one, they literally break down because they finally feel seen and heard. And that's what makes us different.
I really love and respect that approach to coaching. Because like I said, like usually somebody come to me and they want a resume, I start asking questions. I sell transactional packages on my website, but what I give is relationship, right? Yeah. You can buy a transactional package because sometimes that's what people want. But when you do a strategy call, the same thing, right? I'm asking questions. And what I think from a career coaching standpoint, it's like often, at least in my lane, because you do a whole program, often for me, they come to me and it's a very narrow, like when we talk about, like, I was talking about this to another life coaching versus career coaching. When somebody approaches me, they usually will come to me and say, hey, I'm looking for a job. I'm struggling with this. Or, I'm trying to find that next step in my career. It's a very narrow lane, right? But then I know holistically, as a mindset life coach, I'm going to start to ask questions that's going to open it up to something broader. Like what's really impacting you, right? Those dimensions of wellness and those things of how you take care, how you showing up for yourself and all those life factors. In general, life coaching is usually broader and then they have to narrow it down, right? And so I'm sure that you find some of that. I want to hit you with a little statistics. If you watch the podcast, I like to come with some facts. This work that you're doing and supporting people to success in their career is so much of a bigger picture. Even though I'm sure that you have a very diverse array of clients, I want to focus specifically on the African American community for just a bit, because yesterday we had the Black Health Summit, and we were talking about the importance of equity and racial diversity and the ability to be able to connect with the community that you serve. So here's a few statistics about pharmacists in the United States. In the United States, about 11% of pharmacists are Black. So Black people we already make up a small percentage of the workforce, healthcare workforce, but according to the National Bureau of Labor Statistics, only about 11% of pharmacists are Black. Black pharmacists, they make up a growing segment of the pharmacy profession, contributing to diverse perspectives. So a study showed that Black pharmacists, they play a crucial role in addressing health disparities and providing culturally competent care to minority populations. So when we talk about our communities and our experiences as healthcare professionals, we are professionals in the, working in healthcare, but we are also consumers. How important is that representation to our communities? And what is your take on your level of influence? Do you understand, which I'm sure you do, the sphere of influence that you have as a Black professional working in healthcare?
I'm gonna even go back and say you said 11%. That has increased because it was only 4% of the pharmacy profession was Black. So that has increased. It was literally only 4% just a few years ago. So I would say definitely with that. And two, as a healthcare, let's just say in general, as pharmacists in general, we are the most accessible healthcare professional ever, where you don't need a doctor's appointment. You can get vaccinations. We can sometimes say you're a doctor's trip, or even sometimes just having that access, because a lot of times when it comes to healthcare costs, comorbidities, mortality rate, it's the lack of access to healthcare. And pharmacists are the most accessible.
You're right. Go to a CVS counter and ask a pharmacist a question, right? Versus me going and pay a bill, which I'm sure some people don't even
bill, $100 bill. If you ain't got insurance, the hospital still paying $125. You can go ahead and say, "Oh, that's all you need." Or it may be a thing of going into like just having a phone conversation and saying, like, for instance, I remember a gentleman came in, he lifted up, he was like, "Oh, I got these spots, these little things on my back." I'm looking at it. I was like, "When did it start?" I said, "Oh, those are shingles. You didn't go to the doctor and tell you have shingles. That's all you need." He was like, "Oh, wow, save a trip." Or it may be something as simple as, "Hey, some over-counter medicine that you can take instead of going to get a bill." So that's one thing of just in general, but as being a Black pharmacist, so I do practice as a pharmacist, and right now I am currently practicing in community pharmacy. And with community pharmacy, you do get it. And I would say for me, not only I would say, because one, I have practiced in multiple different sectors, and being in predominantly in Wisconsin, where I was located, it was predominantly white. Again, I'm always like, oh wait, there's a Black person, so it's more like a wow for like, oh, she's Black. But coming back to my hometown and practicing in my hometown, it's a different feel. It's a different feel of one that is give hope that you made it, that hey, it is possible. Because sometimes as career women, men, we forget that we are truly minority, because you may have all the friends who are doctors, all the collegians and the academics, that you forget that your mama them. you forget your mama them over there ain't Sally over there who's still using that African American vernacular English thing, even their mayonnaise or their made a sandwich. You forget that, and it's one of those things. You not only you give hope, but you able to literally like save people, or literally just speaking to that little Black brown child and seeing in a white coat. That's one. I would definitely say hope. Two, it's gonna be you can truly like save lives in the community where they know you and they feel comfortable to see you, because most of the time you got that white coat syndrome, but then you see somebody that look like you and care about you. And I'm very intentional, like, hey, you see the locks, I have locks, I'm coming in like, hey, how y'all doing? Look, just coming in and just being home, like that's more welcoming as well, so you feel comfortable enough.
Cultural relevancy, right? When we talk about cultural competency, people seeing people that look like them, that engage with them, that speak their language. And I think that across the board is I am the doctor that teaches the pharmacists and the future doctors and nurses those courses on cultural competency and communication. And I talk to my students a lot about cultural relevancy, right? And being able to connect with the population that you're serving in some way, and at least understand. And I was taking a course, a DEIA course, earlier this last week, and the course spoke a little bit on it, because we talk about cultural competency, but cultural relevancy is really important, right? Because you're not, even when I tell my students, my Caucasian students, like, hey, nobody's asking you to come in wearing a dashiki. We're just, just understand the culture, understand how to, because it doesn't matter if it's Black culture, Arab culture, Spanish culture. It's just, if we're treating people like people and treating them with respect, but just understand some of the dynamics of different cultures, because it allows you to be able to connect with people, right? They see that. And then you can kind of break some of the barriers as it relates to skin, to the outward appearance of skin tone. But it's so much of what you're saying, because people need to see that. And I also like what you said about hope. Sometimes as Black professionals, we don't always want to take on the responsibility that we are a poster child, or we are like that inspiration for other people, but it's there. There's always somebody looking, right? So have you had instances where people like you say, people just come up to you and just respect you for your level of hustle in terms of what you've done with your career, that's inspiring, right? And how does that impact you as a professional?
Oh, that impacts me. It's truly a reminder of you can really do it. Let me just even say, like, okay, because it helps with you can connect and the relatability of you, because I come from, I said small town, but it's sometimes like the hood. I can relate. I know what it's like to have your lights cut off. I know what it's like to go to bed hungry. I know what it's like to truly struggle and make ends meet, to not have shelter, to say, hey, what I'm going to eat tonight? Do I have enough clothes? I went to Virginia from Mississippi with only stuff in my car. And to say, hey, I made it, or even just moving to Virginia and not even having the proper weather. I'll say the clothing for the weather there for the cold.
I understand.
Now you had a proper coat. Cause honey, and then you couldn't even afford one to sit here and say, hey, I got $20 every week to get $10 of gas, $10 of food. You learn how to make it and you learn how to relate to people. Some people come in at farms, they say, hey, I can't afford my medicine. You have somebody me say, hey, well, okay, let me try this discount card. Let me try this. Hey, let me go on this website. This may be a little bit more beneficial to you to help you out. Because at the end of the day, a lot of times people can't even afford their medications because of the cost. And having programs, and then you also have like resources where, and here currently we do not have it, but there are some places, like I know when I was in Virginia, where they can go to a free clinic and get free medicine to help them. So it's like trying to get the people to the right resources to help them. That's definitely one. And it's also just help your relatability, because you just never know. You never know. First of all, you never know what somebody's going through, number one. But two, you just never know. By me just saying hello, me helping you, I can actually save somebody's life. I can say that ER visit. I can sit here and just say, hey, when's the last time you check your blood pressure? And somebody will say, hey, I ain't never had my pharmacist ask me that. My doctor asked me, yeah, you want your blood pressure checked? I can check it for you. Let's go do that. Like, it's just something as simple as that. Or then just recommending like the medications and really truly caring for people. That's something you do not get, because most of the time doctors have become very transactional. You just tell them you just tell them, hey, I got this pain, that pain, but they don't comprehensively look at it. Like, prime example, this is also guidelines where a common drug, 𝗧𝗵𝗲. 𝗧𝗵𝗲 is an ACE inhibitor medication. It's known, most people use for high blood pressure. According to the guidelines, this is not the first medication you would give to a African American patient. However, majority of the doctors prescribe this as the first line agent for hypertension or high blood pressure. However, one of the biggest side effects that most blacks African Americans face is angioedema, and another is life threatening. But doctors keep prescribing it. I understand for the kidney benefit, but it's somebody like me say, hey, can we get an alternative? Or it may be when it comes to, that's why you need a pharmacist too, because the same drug has a common side effect of a cough. And a person may come and say, hey, I got this little nagging cough. It won't go away. It won't go away. A doctor go say, oh, hey, here's some cough suppressing medication. And I'm going to say, what kind of medications you take? You take this medication called 𝗧𝗵𝗲. So then I know it's a drug adverse reaction instead of me just giving you a medication. That's why pharmacists are needed. That's why black pharmacists are needed, because those kind of life-threatening things you can catch and see. That's like, yeah, that's why we're needed. And I love that.
Yeah, I pulled these stats, and it does say that the number of black students enrolled in pharmacy schools has been increasing steadily in recent years, and it reflects a positive trend towards greater diversity. But we know, we were talking about yesterday at the Black Health Summit, so I'm saying yesterday, but guys, this is pre-recorded. So if you're listening, go back to our YouTube page and check out the Black Health Summit, because we had some great folks on there, and we were talking about some of these disparities. A couple of points for you, LaQuita, when we talk about the transactional relationships with doctors. We know that on the business side of healthcare, it's like the operator, on average, a patient is actually on to see the doctor 3 to 7 minutes, right? Because if your appointment is 30 minutes, that's a whole nother conversation. And we did address it yesterday. Your appointment 30 minutes, you're going in and you're going to see the med tech, you're going through, it's going to be like, you pay attention to it, it's like a process slide, right? So by the time that you get into the office with the doctor, they can see you, diagnose you, and that's where you have those instances where patients are being prescribed drugs that they don't necessarily should be prescribed, right? Or being misdiagnosed. But doctors are also struggling to keep their business open. So it's a whole, I feel like I'm going to do a whole nother event just focused on the operation side of healthcare, because we need to talk about it. It's one thing to talk about health disparities, but it's a whole nother ball game to talk about, like, what are we really experiencing on the business side of healthcare, and how is this impacting how we're connecting with patients, right? Because that plays into everything you said. So whether you're black, white, yellow, or purple, and you watching this, this whole conversation is not only about how Dr. LaQuita J is promoting her business, but it's part of a bigger conversation that as I right, as the founder of Work Solutions LLC, shifts to this social impact focus, and you see us doing these types of interviews on Career Coach RX, I'm going to be asking these types of questions to the people who come in to this podcast, because what you point out, representation is so important. Like you said, when you're in a place like Wisconsin, it's just like, oh, there she is, you know, surprise, right? But when you're in a place where it's more people who look like you, then the experience is going to be different. The expectation is different, because you're not only there as a pharmacist, right? You're like representing that girl who made it out of that community. What can be done, that level of inspiration. And sometimes when we as Black professionals, we get to a certain space and place, we don't want that responsibility, but it's there. People are always going to be watching you. People are always going to be wanting to connect with you. And so we're going to wrap up today's podcast, but I just want to say, Dr. Johnson, thank you so much for the work that you're doing, because it is serving a greater purpose, right? You know, you're serving a great purpose, but it's serving a greater purpose, because it goes beyond just what you're doing from PharmD to RPH. It goes beyond what you're doing in just as a community pharmacist. It's the work and the representation that you provide and the service that you're providing to our communities. Over the next few months, you'll hear me talk about, I said colleague, but that's my baby sister, the project that I've been doing with Dr. Karen Taylor, and where we're going to be publishing a book, Colorful Careers in Healthcare, because part of our goal is to have more conversations like this, right? While we're promoting Black excellence and Black businesses, but not just the communities of color, but we're promoting this, and we're talking about representation. We want to make sure that, one, we're exposing kids to careers in STEM and healthcare at a very young age. Two, that they see people who look like them. So you talk about dreads. I mentioned to a colleague earlier today, why do I have these dreads? Okay, mine are crochet dreads, but if you follow me on Facebook personally, so there was a story in Texas where a young man a judge made some comments about a young man who had sued a school, right? Because Texas passed the Crown Act and then immediately let us know that we passed the Crown Act. We got you. We gave you a seat at the table, but we're not gonna let you eat.
Exactly. Come on now.
I said, as soon as that Black Health Summit was done, I was like, went down to the African beauty shop, said, let me get some dreads, because that is the least I can do to try to show solidarity, because I can't grow them overnight. But when we're being discriminated against, even for our natural hairstyle, that's a whole nother subject in the day. But when we talk about cultural competency, cultural relevancy, and those levels of connectedness, all of those things are important. So, Qidah, I definitely am going to connect with you again, because I want to have these conversations and continue with this. But as I asked all people who come on this podcast, please share a tidbit of wisdom with us and tell people where they can find you, honey. Shameless.
Look at me. Number one, don't ever dumb down. Don't ever dumb down your greatness to make other people feel comfortable. That's number one. Be uniquely you. As you saw me coming in, I didn't give you all the proper verbiage. I stayed true to myself, because one thing I took from famous famous prophet called Jay-Z, who said, my voice never changes no matter what room I go into. So I need you to understand that my voice ain't changing. This is who I am at my core and who I am. So don't change who you are. Don't ever dumb down your greatness, because who you are, you're going to connect with the people you need to connect with. And as I say to all my own, every YouTube video, every email, my newsletter, I always say, pharmacy is unlimited if you are, and your life is unlimited if you are. So don't dumb down yourself at all. And you can find me on all platforms. But mostly, I like to stay in the land of YouTube. I got a video coming out every single week, every Sunday, on my newsletter, every Tuesday, a live stream every Monday. You want to study with me, baby, you can study with me, because I don't mind. And you can find me on all platforms. I like to stay in the land of YouTube, though, and LinkedIn. You can catch me on Facebook, too, but it's at Dr. LaQuita J. It's on the screen, at Dr. LaQuita J. You can find me. And as a tidbit today, because I have been a special guest, I have decided to give all your listeners 40% off of my course, SOAR, and that is to help you. It's a more productivity mastery course, and you use the code Career Coach RX, and you get 40% off. The link will be put it below, so make sure you use that code. And look, y'all have fun getting that productivity mastery, and this is for pharmacists. Students, professionals, wherever you are, where you feel like you need productivity, I'm gonna help you all the way through it. Okay, so check below, check the link below. I will be provided and get your 4% off. Okay.
Thank you, Dr. LaQuita. I'm excited. That's my first coupon code. Can I say sponsorship? Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, so thank you guys so much for tuning in today. And you remember that you can find us across all social media at Career Coach RX. YouTube, the Career Coach RX, but all social media, Career Coach RX. You can find me on LinkedIn. Also, you can check out our website, careercoachrx.com. The company is Work Solutions. Career Coach RX is just one aspect because we do many things. Because again, we got some things coming, right? But you know us publicly as Career Coach RX. But you can check us out, worksolutions.com, careercoachrx.com. Thanks for tuning in. We are highlighting queens because women reign in the month of March. It's Women's History Month, and we are going to celebrate. Thank you.
Yeah.